Welcome back to the channel. This week, we're finally going to start working on our new 05, new to us 05 STi. So last week I did let you guys know there was like one thing that I really found wrong with the car that really wanted to get addressed before we drive it. Well, actually two little things, but one is a little bit more important. And what is going on is this wire right here we are replacing. This is the secondary, this is the rear O2 harness. I did get a replacement from IWire. And if we go over to the car over here, you'll see that at some point the downpipe touched this wire. And you can see down here how the wires got messed up and they melted, and it looks like one is frayed. So I will link this replacement harness from IWire in the description, but if you go on their website and look at this, it does tell you if these wires ground out against the transmission, it is possible to cause ECU damage. So right now we do have a check engine light because I have that unplugged. As you can see, we have it unplugged because if it has no power, it can't ground out. So that's why I felt safe just starting the car and moving it just around the garage and stuff. But we want to get that replaced before we drive. And the last thing that we want to do is fix this manual boost controller. So there is a check engine light for this not being hooked up because there's no vacuum hoses to it. So we're going to get these lines hooked up to the EBCS. So one of them goes right to the turbo, one of them goes to the wastegate. So we'll route that correctly here. We'll just take this bolt off here, pull the whole housing off, and we can just correctly put the hoses on. And then we should be able to essentially drive the car. As long as those two things clear those check engine lights, I will feel confident enough just to drive it down the street. Still not super confident of going wide open throttle or anything because I don't know like if it was tuned with the EBCS or if it was tuned with the manual boost controller. I don't know what boost is at. So there still are other variables, but we really haven't driven this car minus just down the street and back. I really want to get those two things fixed right now. We'll go on our first drive together. But enough talking, let's get these cars backed out and we'll get this one put in the middle. We'll get it jacked up. We'll get the harness swapped out and route the new boost lines. Let's go. So she finally got in the garage. She has the garage to herself. First time in the garage, you could see it's a little bit smaller than the 22, but super excited to start working on this. We are going to jack it up on this side. The rear oxygen sensor just runs on the passenger side right here down the transmission. So we'll just get that unplugged and then replugged in with the new harness, and we will secure it correctly. So we're not going to have that issue again. So after we get that installed, we will reroute the boost controller, make sure that it's hooked up correctly. And the story of this car I'm kind of seeing is it basically has everything it needs to be a good driver and a nice car to drive. But some things are backwards. And like the perfect example is basically our key fob here. So you can see it unlocks and unlocks like normal. When we first got this car, the key fob didn't work. And I opened it up and I noticed that there was a new battery in there. Went to the glove box, saw there was also a couple new batteries in there too. So it looks like the dealership tried to get this working and tried to get it fixed. Obviously, like I showed before, everything works now. So they had the battery in backwards, and that's why it wasn't working. So that basically sums up this car. It's got everything it needs, it's just not hooked up correctly. And that's why we have this car. We are going to bring it back up to 2025 standards, and we're going to make this a nice car to drive. Enough talking, let's get to work. Let's go. All right, so we got the car jacked up, we're under it. Looking at this harness here, so let's just try to get it pulled down. See what's going on here. Here it is. And let's get that unplugged. So it looks like they did replace the rear oxygen sensor at some point, and they used a universal, looks like an advanced auto parts or something, oxygen sensor. So the plug is actually a little bit different. So we need to decide what we want to do. Do we want to cut up the new harness we got? Probably not. Or are we going to get a new rear oxygen sensor? Well, that thing looks pretty rusty. Let's put a wrench on it and see if we can take it off, and we can assess from there. All right, let me get you guys caught up real quick. I got the oxygen sensor out, and I do just have it sitting over here. So this is our jumper harness, or this is the rear oxygen harness extension. This is an OEM wire, but I just had I had it from IWire, or I purchased from IWire because I do like their quality a little bit more than the OEM like loom. Much cleaner. So, and it's the same price, so why not just get the better one? So this is what I was talking about. Like, look at this. Like, this was a little sketchy to continue to drive the car with this sensor plugged in. I mean, wires are showing here. It's split right here. So I was not willing to damage anything on the car. And then this is the unfortunate news that I found when I was under there. It does have a universal oxygen sensor. So whoever had this car previously cut the harness off and put in that universal jumper harness. So now we can't plug in our OEM harness. So I just called Advanced Auto Parts, and they have an OEM one coming in for me at 1:30, maybe 2 o'clock. So this is going to be put on hold for now as far as doing this harness, because we don't got the sensor. But we have an OEM one coming in, a Denso OEM with the plug. So I'm going to drive to Advanced with the new harness and make sure it plugs in. But since we can't get the oxygen sensor done right now, I'm going to put the car back on the ground for now, and I'm going to rehook up the, actually I don't even need to put the car back in the ground, but I'm going to rehook up those boost lines. Trying to decide still trying to decide, should I put the car back on the ground and pull all the cars back in? I mean, it's like 9 o'clock right now in the morning, so I mean, I don't really want the garage in pieces all day. We got some other stuff to do today as well. Thought I could knock this out pretty quick for us, but you can't predict things like this. But let's get the boost control solenoid hooked up correctly, and we'll at least get something accomplished, and we'll also get our floor mats put in. And then, yeah, my wife got me a little air freshener, my little baby Soph. So, all right. Enough talking, let's get to work. We'll get this boost controller hooked up, and then we'll get our floor liners in. All right, so I ended up just putting the car back on the ground. Let's get some of these zip ties cut that are holding this boost controller on, and then we'll get this one taken off so we can get the lines routed correctly. I just double checked the diagram to hook up the boost controller, so we're gonna use port 2 and 3, and one gets vented. Usually it gets vented to this pipe here, but you can vent it to the atmosphere, and we're just gonna leave it as that. So let's get these zip ties cut. We will transfer the lines over, and we'll go from there. right, so we got the boost controller rehooked up with the lines in the correct spot. And then this one is just venting. I did switch the orientation too, just so I could have the hoses reach a little bit better. I don't really like these hoses as it has like a little union. It's a T right here and the other side's capped off. So, I mean, in the future, once we have like everything working, we know everything's working, we can replace just the lines and clean that up. So I ended up just cutting off the oxygen sensor right here, because we are not going to be using this, and I'm just going to put this back in the hole to make sure we don't have an exhaust leak, because we have a new one coming shortly. But I got that hooked up. I want to do a little drive around the block, and let's get this thing thrown in, and we'll do a quick little drive. All right, we just got the oxygen sensor put back in, and I'm getting a little excited again. Let's put the floor liners in real quick before we're going on a little drive. But yeah, let's throw these in. We'll get everything, pull the other car back in, and we'll go for a little drive. All right, fast forward in the future just a little bit. We actually didn't go on that drive. Just a couple things came up that I had to take care of, but sensor came in, sensor's right here. Get you flipped around. I'll show you that it plugs in and everything. All right, so this is what I was talking about. So we got the OEM sensor because we wanted to get our OEM plug back. And this should literally just plug right in. Hear that click? There you go. So we're just going to screw this in and get this plugged back into the engine harness, and we'll have all of our check engine lights will be resolved, and we'll have a brand new OEM sensor. It does have a 1-year warranty, so if anything goes wrong, we are good to go. It's pretty nice because the OEM ones already have the anti-seize on it, so don't really have to worry about adding any additional. You're just good to go. So let's get this thrown in and we'll go on our first drive. All right, she's all buttoned up, hood's closed. The wire is securely away from the exhaust, and you can see our nice WeatherTech floor liners front and back. You can really see how nice this interior is in the daylight. But yeah, let's get our start in. There we go. I just cleared the check engine light, so you know, whenever you clear a check engine light, rough start, sometimes AFR needs to adjust. But yeah, let's get this car warmed up. Maybe we'll go get some gas. Dealership didn't top me off when I bought the car. Kind of bummed about that, but yeah, we'll go get some fresh 93, fill this thing up. We're definitely not doing any wide open throttle pulls. I just am not confident yet in the car, and I don't really know what's going on. As far as if the car was tuned with the manual boost controller or the electronic solenoid. And as you can see, we don't have a check engine light for the boost solenoid because we have that hooked up correctly now. So let's let it warm up for just a minute and we'll start driving. All right, so while we were waiting, I did get the access port plugged in. It does have a V2. So Rollic, R-O-L-L-I-C, Rollic stage 4 high boost and low boost. Those are the two tunes that are on the access port. The one that's currently uploaded is the high boost tune. So that does make me confident that they probably use the electronic boost controller, and at some point someone added a manual boost controller, and not sure why they did that. But yeah, so it is on the high boost map. Still not going to step on it as we're still trying to figure this car out and make sure everything's good to go, but we're backing up. So once we get on the road, I'll catch up with you guys in just a few. Dude, this thing rips. The wastegate sounds so good. I really wish I knew what turbo this was because it does actually feel pretty good. Blow-off valve, it just It literally just makes all the right noises. I am just in love with this car right now. Get this quick turn in. Put it in third gear. Dang, dude. Here's some boost. Dude, this car rips. Oh my God. I am having a blast driving this thing. Now I could definitely tell it does need some brakes in the front, just like what they were saying. Definitely do that sooner rather than later, but we're making it, dude. All right, I'll catch up with you guys once we're at the gas station. All right, we're all gassed up. The guy over there talking to me for a while about the car, so that was really nice. Someone actually knows the car, and they were shocked that 48,000 original miles. So let's get, we got a couple errands to run, just back towards the house a little bit. So yeah, let's continue our first drive. I'm having a blast. I cannot believe how well this car is driving, but all right, let's go. Yeah, every time I step on the brake, steering wheel does shake, and I can definitely feel the fronts vibrate a little bit. So that's definitely next thing on the list for sure is brakes. So once we get the car, well, once we get some brakes and we'll get pads and rotors all the way around, that's when we'll assess what everything else looks like down there. Yeah, okay, we are good to go. I'm never gonna get tired of that. I originally thought I was gonna take this wastegate off because I wanted a more clean sound, but dude, you just can't beat the sound of an external wastegate on these cars. This car is just making all the right noises. I am beyond ecstatic about this purchase. Dang. All right, well, we'll wrap this up back in the garage. I'm just gonna finish up some errands. If I do any other cool little pulls, I'll record that, but let's just, I'll meet you guys back at the garage. All right, so we made it back to the house. Car ran super well for the first time us ever taking it out. It really shocked me with just how well it was driving. But towards the end, I did notice like anything past like 5,000, it started to break up a little bit. We weren't pushing it very hard on the street. I did end up going like, I didn't go like wide open throttle and like red line it. Like I think we pulled to like 5K on some of those pulls just to get some good sound clips. I mean, the wastegate sounded so good. The HKS blow-off valve, like, I mean, I've never had one before. Usually I run tiles, and they just don't have that, like, personality that the HKS has. But, so what I ended up doing as far as that breakup issue, I'm pretty sure it's just, like, the spark plugs, the coil packs. Like, I don't even know if anything's ever been changed before. I'm sure the coil packs are original. Like I said, the car only has 48,000 miles, so most of this stuff is probably original. So I ended up ordering all new coil packs and NGK one-step colder plugs from Flat Iron Tuning. I also used Smedia's discount code because you do get a discount on OEM parts. So shout out Smedia because we definitely used that coupon code to get some parts to start this build. And then also the brakes, this front left brake, I just checked it, there is no pad life on it left. So, and it's starting to have some grooves in it. So I ended up just ordering some DBA rotors all the way around, and we got some centric ceramic pads. So we got that from New Provision. So we'll see how those perform, but really excited to get the ignition system fixed and brand new brakes on the car. Once we get those installed in the next coming weeks, we will be a little bit more confident to drive this car, as like the brakes are a little bit sketch right now, and it just needs a little bit of TLC. But that's all I got for you guys on this one on our 05 STi. We do have more parts coming for our 22. As you know, the Flex Fuel kit just came out, and in my hand here I have our drive shaft spacer. So I'll talk about that in our next week's episode on our 22 WRX. But until then, see you guys.